The siblings who took me in were cannon fodder in the novel. The elder brother, gloomy and aloof, was drawn to the warm, sunny female lead. The younger sister, sensitive and starved for love, willingly sacrificed everything for the male lead. They thought they had found salvation. Little did they know the male and female leads were merely using them as stepping stones. To preserve this life of luxury, I decided to steal the male and female lead's role. When Big Brother was feeling world weary again, I kissed his cheek. Oh, so soft and sweet-smelling, Big Brother, you're like a little cream cake. Even the coldest man would crack a smile upon hearing such praise. When my sister cried secretly at midnight, I wailed along with her. The pretty stars are drowning in water. What should we do? She laughed through her tears and helplessly pulled me into her embrace. Later, the male and female leads who couldn't get anyone to meet them grew anxious and took the initiative to visit, only to find the siblings staying up all night helping me finish my kindergarten craft assignment. The moment I lost consciousness, while saving a drowning child, I wished that in my next life I'd be born smelling my mother's expensive skincare products, hearing my old money father's hearty laughter, and feeling my chairman grandfather's broad palm patting me. Yet when I opened my eyes, I was peacefully lying in a trash can. ISNT, it said that good people get good rewards. Then why did I get such a disastrous starting point? The trash can lid was closed. The stench of various rotting garbage mixed together nearly suffocated me. Staring at the chubby little hands before me that resembled lotus roots, I remained silent for a long time. No choice left to survive, I could only cry. I don't know how long I'd been wailing, but it seemed someone had finally noticed the commotion in this dilapidated alley. The sound of leather shoes scraping against the ground gradually approached me. Who could understand the redemptive feeling of seeing daylight again? I found myself staring wide-eyed at a middle-aged man in a neat suit wearing white gloves. A driver. Was this my dear driver coming to fetch me? I knew it. I must be the swapped heiress of a wealthy family replaced by that wicked nanny. I desperately reached out to him. Hurry up and take me back to that 1,000-square-meter mansion with a swimming pool. Don't let mommy and daddy worry too much. A few minutes later, I found myself in a black luxury car, still staring wide-eyed at the two high school students from the elite academy sitting in the back seat. The driver said hesitantly, young master, young lady, we're not far from a low-income neighborhood, and there are several public high schools nearby. This child is probably abandoned. Should we take her to the police station first? Me, oh no. The two exquisitely beautiful figures nodded coldly, their features so perfect they seemed unreal. The driver flashed a relieved smile. Then I'll trouble the young master and young lady to look after her for now. I was shoved into the young master's arms. He stiffened completely while holding me, utterly at a loss. I'm a sucker for pretty faces. Seeing these stunning visages up close, far more striking than top celebrities, I couldn't resist reaching out to touch them. Seeing the mocking expression on the young lady's face beside him, his expression instantly darkened. He shoved me into her arms. What a nuisance, you hold her. The young lady froze in the same manner. Seeing their strikingly similar divine features, I couldn't help but giggle aloud. Unconsciously infected by the laughter, her lips had just begun to curve when she caught the young master's leisurely gaze from the side. The young lady immediately curled her lip. It reeks of garbage. Disgusting. With that, she placed me on the middle seat of the car. The vehicle was spacious enough to comfortably accommodate all three of us. But the mere thought of being sent to an orphanage and the miserable life that awaited me made me burst into genuine wailing sobs. The young master, unable to bear the noise, reached out and picked me up. Seeing his face, I was happy again, my tears turning to laughter. When he put me down, I cried again. When the young lady picked me up, I laughed again. When she put me down, I cried again. Suddenly, the two became intrigued. It was like a relay race, picking me up, putting me down, picking me up again, putting me down again. Ha 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 ha. While repeating dozens of times until the driver's gentle voice chimed in. We arrived at the police station. I instantly burst into tears loud enough to blow the roof off the car. The young master and young lady exchanged glances. A few seconds later, they spoke in unison. Let her stay. The driver was highly efficient and quickly completed the adoption procedures for me. I also learned the identities of the young master and young lady, the Sterling twins, heirs to New York's most prominent aristocratic family. And now I had become their younger sister, Ellie Sterling. Don't be envious just yet, because those two were destined to be the biggest cannon fodder in a childhood friends to rivals revenge novel. The siblings had prestigious family backgrounds and stunning looks, yet they couldn't piece together a complete home. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling divorced shortly after giving birth to them, quickly reuniting with their former lovers. In their eyes, these children were merely products of a transactional union. Thus, for years they showed no concern. Children who've never known love can hardly be expected to grow into paragons of virtue. In short, Julian and Jasmine's personalities were each more eccentric and twisted than the other. Despite being siblings bound by blood, they couldn't stand each other. To make matters worse, they encountered the male and female leads' childhood friends who had clawed their way out of hell itself. The protagonists deliberately created opportunities to get close to the siblings, then worked in tandem to drive a permanent wedge between them. The elder brother, gloomy and aloof, is drawn to the warm and sunny female lead. The younger sister, sensitive and starved for love, willingly sacrifices everything for the male lead. Little do they know the promised salvation is a lie. They are merely stepping stones on the protagonist's path to success. In the end, after being drained of their remaining worth, they are cast aside, without a second thought. The unconventional, morally ambiguous protagonists and the complex, self-interested, yet genuine romance between the leads had readers hailing it as a masterpiece, cheering in exhilaration. Are you happy? Well, I'm not feeling great right now. Even the imported organic milk powder carefully prepared by the nanny doesn't taste good anymore. That's just how babies are. They can't help but burst into loud cries at the slightest discomfort. Soon enough, Julian and Jasmine were drawn over. The nanny held me completely overwhelmed. The little miss one stopped crying. I can't seem to calm her down no matter what. The moment Julian took me, I stopped crying instantly. They all stared at each other in bewilderment until the nanny burst out laughing. Young master, the little miss is quite attached to you. The corners of his lips twitched upward briefly before he forced them back down. What a nuisance. Keep fussing, and I'll throw you back in the trash. Me, how cruel. I immediately reached out to Molly for a hug. She looked rather surprised but cautiously extended her arms. Julian carried me away instead, saying she is sleepy. You can hold her next time. Molly gritted her teeth. She clearly wanted me to hold her. Give her to me. You're too clumsy. What if you drop her? Julian, as the siblings' bickering continued, I gradually closed my sleepy eyes and clenched my tiny fists. My brother and sister are both kind-hearted children. I absolutely want to allow the male and female protagonists to get near them. The only advantage of being a baby is getting to be willful. I'd cry if I didn't see Julian and Jasmine for a few hours. The nanny skillfully glanced at the clock, confirming it was noon dismissal time before making the call. The call connected quickly. How's Ellie today? Hearing Molly's voice, I babbled and reached out to grab the phone. Say sister. A light chuckle came through the line before Julian quickly took over the phone. He instructed the nanny and driver to take me for my second polio vaccine and first DPT shot. He also asked how many milliliters of milk I drank each time, whether my bowel movements were normal, and reminded her to frequently give me gentle massages. During this period, he had become a professional stay-at-home dad. As soon as he got home, he would feed me and change my diapers while Molly played with me, using a handbell to guide me in practicing my language skills. The two of them had a clear division of labor, though they often argued over who got to hold me, yet the once empty villa gradually began to feel more like a home. Today they didn't return home on time. After school, the driver softened his tone to coax me. Your brother and sister are celebrating their birthday at the family estate today. They'll be back a little late. In the original plot, Mr. and Mrs. Sterling were supposed to make a rare appearance to celebrate their birthday with them. Though the siblings complained outwardly, deep down they couldn't help but feel a flicker of anticipation. They waited for their parents for a long time, only to find out they had completely forgotten about it when they called. No apologies, no remorse, just a perfunctory transfer of money. Did they lack money? No, what they lacked was care and affection on their journey of growth. So to cling to the meager warmth the protagonists threw their way, they willingly threw themselves into the fire like moths. Sure enough, when they returned, one was gloomy, the other despondent. They didn't even come to the nursery to see me before retreating to their rooms. I sighed, then unleashed my ultimate mouvement. Soon a door slammed and Julian stomped over to my crib with a scowl to check my diaper. Why aren't you pulling it again? What are you crying for? I remained silent, crying incessantly, and even being picked up didn't soothe me. Julian had no choice but to go and call Jasmine out. Her eyes were slightly red, already in a bad mood, and seeing me like this only made her angrier. She roughly placed me back into the cradle. Go to sleep now. I began fiddling with the wind chime above my head, straining to make sounds as I played with it. Happy, happy, happy. The babbling of an infant mingled with the crisp chime of colliding metal. As if they truly formed a birthday song, together they froze. After a long moment, Julian raised his hand to cover his face and burst into laughter. Molly was also affected, turning her head away with a snort, though the curve of her lips grew more pronounced. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to sleep, I saw Julian open his phone as camera. Let us do it again. So you want to grow up and complain on social media that we didn't document your childhood. Me just say you want to show off on Instagram. For soon Julian and Molly entered their second year of high school, perfectly avoiding the plot points where they would have interacted with the male and female protagonists in the original story. Just as I let my guard down, Julian went missing. The driver sent people to search for him for a full day and night. The next day, he finally returned covered in bruises and scrapes. Behind him followed a girl in a white dress, equally disheveled. Her face looked pure and innocent, but a shrewd glint flashed in her eyes as she surveyed the understated, yet luxurious villa. Oh no, the family fortune in danger. After the family doctor finished treating the wounds, Julian finally explained that he had gone hiking on a whim and accidentally bumped into the female lead, Samantha. The two of them accidentally fell down a steep slope, breaking their phones, but fortunately they didn't suffer any serious injuries. Me, I refused to believe this has nothing to do with Samantha. When Samantha came out, she saw Julian teasing me. She feigned surprise. Is this your little sister? So adorable. Julian always feels happy when others praise me. He looked at Samantha with delight. Do you want a hug? Sure, don't come any closer. When she suddenly reached out, I burst into tears, more heart-wrenching than ever before. Julian paused and glanced at Samantha, who looked embarrassed. Sorry, she might be a bit shy around strangers. Samantha quickly adjusted her expression, showing remarkable understanding, even praising me for being vigilant and able to protect myself. Julian felt thoroughly pleased by these words, his gaze softening further as he looked at her, even instructing the driver to personally take her home. Truly worthy of being the female lead, with just a little trick, she managed to completely captivate her hopeless older brother. I closed my eyes. Wearily, Molly didn't return until evening, frequently glancing at her phone with expectant eyes. The corners of her lips curled upward uncontrollably. The sight of this maiden's first blush of love set off alarm bells in my head. Julian also noticed something was amiss and frowned. Where did you go today? Molly glared at him. None of your business. Are you in love? How dare you question me? What were you doing deep in the mountains alone with someone overnight, even bringing them back? You're the one who's in love, aren't you? We were worried sick all night, and you were having the time of your life. Julian had nothing to say in response. Molly gave him a mocking glance before getting up and returning to her room. I babbled and waved my arms around this is at the moment the male and female leads appear the sibling bond falls apart. 5 that night as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard someone tiptoeing to my bedside. The familiar faint fragrance lingered around my nose. It was Julian. He gently lifted my head and slipped something beneath my pillow. Be good, Ellie, your brother didn't he mean to make you worry? Yesterday, I met a fortune teller at a street stall. He said someone in our family has the fate of dying young. Of course, I don't believe in such things, but when it involves you, I couldn't rest easy. So I followed his advice and went to the church to get a protective charm just for peace of mind. Julian gazed at me for a long time as if he couldn't help but laugh at himself. Big brother was definitely tricked right, but it's okay. Our Ellie must grow up safe and sound. Turns out he went up the mountain for my sake. I couldn't hold back my sobs any longer. Julian quickly picked me up to comfort me. Did you have a nightmare? It's alright, big brother is here. He softly hummed a lullaby, his voice deep and soothing. As my consciousness gradually faded, I clenched my fists and swore, I will protect them no matter what, but I was still too young, powerless to do anything. In places beyond my sight, Julian and Jasmine began interacting with the male and female leads, growing closer day by day. Using Julian's rescue as an excuse to repay him, Samantha brought him breakfast and handmade trinkets she'd crafted herself. She lived in a low-income neighborhood, and Julian often worried about her safety walking home alone, so he would frequently give her a ride. But ever since their last unpleasant parting, Molly had stopped commuting to and from school with Julian. A few times I saw the male lead, Ryan, bringing her back on his beat-up bicycle. Handsome guy, beautiful girl, their youthful exuberance made it seem like a scene straight out of a teen movie. I rolled my eyes inwardly. Soon my first birthday arrived, and they threw me a birthday party. Julian placed me on a blanket surrounded by various objects. A calculator, books, a rattle scissors, a toy piano, a toy stethoscope, a wooden hammer. Under the excited and expectant gazes of the onlookers, I crawled decisively toward the $100 bill, mumbling incoherently, money, money, money. Julian and Molly fell into deep silence. They exchanged a glance and began expertly shifting blame. Julian, I told you not to play with your phone in front of Ellie. Molly spat back. I should be asking you. Ellie was already smart. What if she picks up your bad habits? By this time, I could barely manage to communicate. Brother, sister, don't be angry, don't be angry. Julian picked me up. Ellie, you really like this, huh? My eyes sparkled. I like money, he sighed helplessly. Fine, as long as you like it. Our family has plenty of money anyway. Molly suddenly thought of something, her expression darkening. Don't forget, Dad's girlfriend is pregnant. She'll be competing with us for the family inheritance. Julian looked at me, his eyes flickering. What SRs can't be taken away by anyone, even if it's for Ellie's sake. We must protect this family. Molly surprisingly voiced her agreement. First, we need to improve our grades. The Sterling family heirs can't be useless. Right, let us hire some tutors. The fire has been lit. I raised my arms and shouted, tutoring. The next day, Samantha and Ryan appeared in our home. Then there were Julian and Molly, one with ears turning red at the tips. The other couldn't keep their eyes off them. I smacked my forehead hard in frustration. Big brother and sister, you've invited wolves into your home. 6 at the end of their second year of high school, their school organized a field trip. Julian and Jasmine initially scoffed at such group activities. But now, because of Samantha and Ryan, they both decided to participate. Right before departure, I threw a tantrum. My intuition told me the male and female leads would definitely seize this opportunity to cause trouble. I didn't want them to go, so I stood in their way like a bratty child, bawling my eyes out. The nanny quickly picked me up and comforted me. Big brother and sister will be back soon. Let us wait for them nicely at home, okay? No, Julian pondered for a moment, then quickly came up with a solution that pleased everyone. He decided to take me along. Ellie is old enough. Now it's time she got out more and experienced nature. A perfectly valid reason, yet I couldn't shake the feeling he had ulterior motives. Surprisingly, Molly didn't raise any objections either, and just like that we set off. We were the last to arrive. The moment I stepped out of the car, I became the center of attention in the crowd. For a moment, adorable exclamations filled the air. I responded with a sweet smile. The crowd instantly erupted into screams of excitement, seeing the restrained yet pleased smiles playing on Julian and Molly's lips. I finally understood their game. Apparently posting on Instagram wasn't enough for them anymore. Now they started showing off in person. Soon several girls tentatively approached. Molly, can we hug your little sister? Their expressions were sincere, yet carried a hint of politeness and unease. After all, Julian and Molly came from good families and had rather aloof personalities, making others hesitant to approach them. This also meant they didn't have any close friends and had never experienced normal friendships, making them easy targets for the protagonist's manipulation. I decided to help them make other friends, so I proactively reached out to the girl. Big sis hug. Her eyes widened, her heart melting instantly. Molly hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Then I'll trouble you to look after her for a while. The girls were pleasantly surprised, probably not expecting her to be so agreeable. Soon I had blended right in with their class sister, pretty like flower. So adorable. A cheerful sunny boy squeezed his way through the crowd with great difficulty. I want to play too, baby. Say brother is handsome. I looked at him. Sincerely, big brother, you're so handsome. He immediately grinned, no longer afraid, even when seeing Julian radiating displeasure, and even deliberately teased me. Then tell me who is more handsome, me or your brother? I blinked. My brother is more handsome. The whole class burst into laughter. He scratched his head. Well, that's also true. Hearing my response, Julian's cold expression finally began to thaw, and the atmosphere grew warm and harmonious. Until Ryan approached me with a gentle smile. Little one, I haven't held you yet. In an instant I felt as if a venomous snake had locked its gaze on me. Overcome by instinctive terror, I buried my head in Julian's chest. Julian patted my back and gave him an expressionless glance. "You scared her," Ryan said with a stiff smile before turning to leave while Molly anxiously chased after him. Samantha shot Julian an angry look before turning her head and walking away. She thought Julian had deliberately embarrassed Ryan because he couldn't stand Samantha and Ryan being close. This was the perfect opportunity to let the incident become a catalyst to bring their relationship to the next level. Julian's expression shifted slightly as he entrusted me to a female classmate for a moment before chasing after them. The older sister holding me watched their departing figures with gossipy eyes and let out a soft click of her tongue. "Baby, there's something going on between your brother and Samantha." I covered my face in agony. "It's all my fault for messing up 7. Unexpectedly, Julian and Molly started arguing as soon as they got home. "Why do you always have a problem with Samantha? What did she ever do to you?" Molly was furious. She provoked me first. She knew I liked Ryan, yet she deliberately acted intimate with him right in front of me. Julian frowned. "She's not that kind of person. She grew up with Ryan. They're just good friends." "And what about you? Weren't you jealous of Ryan too? You've always treated him poorly." The two reached an impasse and parted on bad terms. It even affected me. Julian changed my diaper with a cold expression. "Ellie, you're being so rude, smiling at everyone yet treating Samantha differently. She's never even bullied you." "Who am I doing all this for? Kids can't control their emotions." So I immediately got angry and turned my back on him. "Hate her, she's bad, don't like her, Ellie." I decided I wouldn't smile at them anymore. After this, the three of us fell into a cold war. Julian and Molly came home later and later, and I gradually freed myself from depending on them. They already found me annoying anyway, so this just suited them even better. At 14 months, I started getting used to walking. By 16 months, I learned to feed myself with a spoon. By 20 months, I could speak complete sentences and was becoming fluent, though the nannies did send videos to Julian and Molly. But on certain nights, I could always feel their gazes and sighs. Sometimes it was Julian. "Ellie, you've learned to be independent so early. I should be happy, but why does my heart feel so hollow?" Sometimes it was "Molly, you change every day. We can hardly keep up with you anymore. We've missed so many of your firsts. What a shame." "Sweetheart, growing up isn't fun. Slow down a little one to you." Three awkward souls, yet their hearts yearned to cling tightly together. In the blink of an eye, Julian and Molly became high school seniors. On my second birthday, they both had to go out. Turns out Samantha's birthday was today too. Julian planned to spend part of the day with her before returning in the evening to celebrate my birthday. As for Molly, who knows what methods Ryan used to ask her out this time. They crouched guiltily in front of me. "Ellie, the driver, and Nanny will stay with you. We'll be back soon, okay?" I fought back tears. "It's fine, go ahead, I'll wait for you." I didn't want to accidentally make them argue again, nor did I want to be scolded for being impolite. It was just a birthday, nothing to feel wronged about. But when they really left, the tears wouldn't stop falling. Seeing how sensible Ellie was, Julian didn't feel the relief he'd imagined. Instead, it felt like his whole heart was clenched tight, waves of suffocating pain throbbing through him. His mind was filled with thoughts of what Ellie might be doing now. Would she be missing them? Does he cry secretly? Samantha had to call his name several times before he finally snapped out of it. She asked curiously, "What's wrong? You seem distracted." Julian mumbled vaguely, "Sorry, just thinking about family matters." Samantha immediately understood. "Julian, you don't have to bury all your worries inside. Our situations are similar. I'm the one who understands you best." "Julian, how you've raised a child before. Do you understand how much I worry about my child?" Julian looked at her in puzzlement, but she mistook it for him opening up his heart. Samantha suppressed the fleeting amusement in her eyes, her expression full of empathy instead. "Our parents gave birth to us, but never raised us properly. They didn't care at all about our growth, only about their own pleasures, yet they always took their emotions out on us. People like that don't deserve to be parents. You have every right to resent them. Don't let it trouble or torment you." Julian froze for a long moment. His eyelashes fluttered slightly as sudden enlightenment dawned upon him. "You're right, I can't be that kind of parent." Samantha, after explaining his reasoning and apologizing, he turned and ran. When he pushed open the front door drenched in sweat, he found the house already decorated with colorful birthday streamers and banners. Molly and Ellie were inflating balloons. Julian watched the scene, and the hollow emptiness in his chest all morning was instantly filled with happiness. He slowly walked over and covered Ellie's eyes. "Guess who?" Ellie threw herself into his arms, overjoyed. "Big brother." He picked Ellie up and looked at Molly. "Why are you back?" Jasmine smiled back. "Nothing is more important than family, right?" "Yes, nothing is more important than family." Because of this incident, Samantha and Ryan probably developed some sense of crisis. The prey was gradually slipping out of control, so they became somewhat anxious. When Samantha came to tutor Julian at home, I heard them arguing. "Julian, you're your own person with your own life. You can't devote all your energy to your sister, can you?" Julian took a deep breath and explained softly, "Ellie is still young and needs companionship. You've said it yourself. We can't be irresponsible guardians." A flicker of impatience crossed Samantha's face. "Your family has a nanny, and besides, she's just someone you picked up, not even your real sister." Julian stared in disbelief. He never expected such words to come from Samantha's mouth. "Samantha, what are you talking about?" She realized her mistake and paled. "Julian, that's not what I meant. Let us end today's tutoring session here. You should leave first." Seeing his unyielding refusal to communicate, Samantha had no choice but to leave first. She noticed me as she walked out. Her pitiful, fragile expression instantly turned icy. She mouthed the words, "Little stray dog." I instinctively took a step back, staring blankly at her retreating figure. Much later, I knocked on my brother's door. His voice sounded heavy. "Come in." I looked up at the doorknob and sighed. "Brother, it's me. I can't get in." He quickly opened the door and carried me inside. Weren't you organizing your toys? What brings you to me? Because I could tell you weren't happy. He raised an eyebrow. How could you tell? I pressed a hand to my chest earnestly. My heart told me when you're unhappy, I become unhappy too. Julian froze for a moment, then turned his head away with feigned exasperation. Where did such a young child learn all these sweet words? Seizing the opportunity, one planted a kiss on his cheek. Oh, so soft and sweet. Big brother, you're like a little cream cake. A little cake can't be unhappy, or at one tea stay sweet. Even the coldest man would crack a smile at such praise. Big brother is happy now. Thank you, Ellie. I grinned. You're welcome. Julian had barely been normal for 2 days when Molly started acting strange again. She didn't return until nearly midnight, looking utterly devastated and unwilling to talk to anyone. I volunteered to sleep with her that night. In the darkness, I heard the faintest sound of sobbing. Turning around, I saw her crying with her back to me. I patted her back lightly with my small hand. Big sister, did you have a nightmare? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Ellie is here. Molly stiffened slightly, then cried even harder. I got anxious and simply started wailing too. The pretty stars are going to drown in water. What should we do? She froze for a moment, remembering how I once told her that her smiling eyes looked like they were filled with little stars. Now the two of them were crying as if competing in a contest. Molly suddenly laughed through her tears and helplessly turned to pull me into her embrace. No more crying, no more crying. Let us both stop crying. Her voice was still a bit hoarse between sniffles. I asked, why is sister unhappy? You told me before, when you're unhappy, you should say it out loud and not cry secretly by yourself. Molly's lips trembled and her grievances burst forth uncontrollably like floodgates opening. Big sister is just feeling a little sad, she said. Having bottled it up for too long, she found herself wanting to confide in me, a child who understood nothing. It turned out Molly had met Ryan on the very day Julian went missing. She had gone searching for Julian near the school. When she encountered a group of troublemakers, it was Ryan who descended like a savior to rescue her. He is one of the few who truly understands me, gently listening to my troubles. I like him so much, yet he always favors Samantha more. Whenever Samantha acts wrong, he still treats me with his usual gentleness, but his eyes look at me with disappointment. Even Julian thinks I'm bullying her, but I've never done anything bad to her. I comforted her tenderly. Big sis did nothing wrong. Big brother is mean. Tears streamed down Molly's face as she looked utterly lost. Ryan confessed his feelings to me tonight. I was so happy, but then he wanted me to give myself to him. The look in his eyes scared me, so I pulled away. He said I didn't trust him. Yes, I like him too, so why did I resist? Me, how could Ryan stoop to such despicable acts? I have every reason to suspect Julian's disappearance and Ryan's heroic rescue were all part of their scheme. What kind of coincidence is this? At this point, I couldn't care less about maintaining character integrity. I immediately looked at her with grave seriousness. Big brother taught me that anyone who frightens children is bad. We must protect ourselves at all costs. But Ryan saved me. He is not a bad person. When someone saves you, you say thank you, not give yourself to them. That's what you taught me, sister. Molly froze. The TV was playing an old movie at that moment, showing a scene where a woman pledged herself to her savior, and I was watching intently. Given how quickly I picked up everything, Molly worried I might be easily deceived by some rogue in the future and hurried to correct me. I never expected those words would come back to haunt her. She seemed to have untied the knot in her heart, her face breaking into a relieved smile. Ollie was right. Big sister will set an example and protect herself properly. Big sister is amazing. We fell asleep in each other's arms, and this time both of us slept soundly. Much later, the faint footsteps outside the door finally faded into the distance. 11. One setback after another made Samantha and Ryan increasingly restless. They decided to leave Jasmine completely isolated and helpless, and Ryan would be the only lifeline she could cling to. So Samantha deliberately arranged to meet Jasmine in the old equipment room. As usual, she deliberately provoked her. Your brother likes me, Ryan likes me too. Molly, what a failure you are. Molly just smiled. I don't care. What did it matter if no one stood by her side? Her little sister would always love her unconditionally. Molly turned and walked away. Samantha's expression darkened before she sneered, we'll see about that. She slapped herself hard, instantly swelling half her face. Back in the classroom, she deliberately sobbed softly to attract her classmates' attention. Samantha, what's wrong? She deliberately glanced fearfully at Jasmine. The crowd looked at them, their gazes growing meaningful. Jasmine laughed in exasperation. You're not going to say I did this, are you? Samantha's eyes welled up with tears, looking even more pitifully vulnerable when Julian entered the classroom. I know you like Ryan, but I've told you so many times we're just friends. I want to steal him from you. Why won't he leave me alone? Julian paused mid-step, then after a moment walked toward Samantha. Molly curled the corner of her lips downward, lowering her eyes to conceal the fleeting trace of irony. But in the next second, Samantha didn't have time to flash her triumphant smile, nor did Ryan waiting outside the door get to play the savior. Julian spoke up. What makes you think I wouldn't believe my own sister? Samantha's expression froze. Julian, he stared at her steadily, let out a light scoff, then turned to walk toward the stunned Molly. He patted her head. Don't worry, I won't let you suffer this injustice, for no reason. Jasmine was someone who responded better to kindness than force. When faced with accusations, she would always act proud, but genuine concern made her flustered and unsure how to react. Her eyes reddened. Brother, I didn't hit her. I know we'll check the surveillance footage. A flicker of panic crossed Samantha's face, but she quickly composed herself and even tried to turn the tables. Jasmine, you knew there were no surveillance cameras there when you laid hands on me, didn't you? My apologies. As shareholders of this school, the Sterling family naturally has an obligation to improve campus facilities. I had technicians install and inspect the cameras days ago. Samantha's face turned even paler, her lips parted to speak, but she was interrupted by a smiling girl. Oh, no need for all that trouble. I happened to be resting there at the time and caught quite a show. I recorded everything. Jasmine turned her head and saw that this girl was the one who had held Ellie during the previous outing. She smiled and said, your little sister already said I'm beautiful and kind-hearted, so of course I should do a good deed every day. If you want to thank me, just invite me to your house to play with your sister. The other classmates burst into laughter. Even without surveillance footage, I still believe Jasmine the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. With such an adorable and well-behaved child in the family, Julian and Jasmine's character must be beyond reproach. Exactly, we've been classmates for 3 years. Who would know her character better than us? Last time Jasmine even lent me sanitary pads, though we don't talk much usually. She's really kind-hearted. As everyone chimed in with their comments, Samantha and Ryan completely panicked. The video exposed her staged act to the public, and everyone's gazes toward her became filled with contempt. She had no choice but to offer a forced apology, casting a pleading look toward Ryan. This time, Ryan chose to prioritize his own safety. 12 the siblings returned home together for the first time in a while. Julian shared his findings with Jasmine. She couldn't believe it. You're saying Ryan hired those thugs and deliberately showed up in front of me at the right moment? Julian nodded back. Then I fell down the mountain because Samantha screamed behind me on purpose. When I turned around, I tripped over a rock, and she came down with me. I thought she was just panicking out of concern, but now it's clear they were in cahoots. What could we possibly have that's worth such elaborate scheming? Jasmine's face darkened. Money. The two sat in silence in the car for a long time, being deceived for so long, realizing what they thought was genuine affection was all fake. No one could accept that easily. Julian thought of something and wearily rubbed his temples. Ellie is friendly to everyone except Samantha and Ryan. They say a child's intuition is the most accurate. I should have realized sooner I wronged her. Molly, your brother is sorry too. Molly froze for a moment, then smiled without a trace of shadow. Brother, it's not your fault. We were both deceived. Now the most important thing is to remember this lesson. Protect Ailey, safeguard the family assets, and never let people with ulterior motives take advantage again. As long as we trust each other, nothing can break us. She extended her little finger, and Julian, meeting her sincere gaze with a smile at the corner of his lips, reached out to hook his own finger with hers. Pinky promise, no matter what happens, we'll always believe in each other. Meanwhile at home, I clicked my tongue and rolled over to continue sleeping. The afternoon sun today was warm and cozy, truly delightful. 13 soon the day of the graduation ceremony arrived. I had the driver take me to wait for them outside the school. I even deliberately wore a little red dress, symbolizing good luck. As the bell rang, students began streaming out one after another. Perched on the driver's shoulders, I waved the toy in my hand. Julian and Jasmine were strikingly beautiful and noble in appearance, standing out as the center of attention wherever they went. I quickly spotted their location. Brother-sister Ellie is here. They smiled and walked toward me. Thanks to Ellie cheering us on, graduating feels so much easier now. Seems like they did well on their exams. I gave each of them an enthusiastic kiss. Big brother and sister are the best. Their classmates noticed me too and exclaimed in surprise. The little cutie is here too, sweetie. I held you when you were a baby, remember? He said back then that I was even more handsome than your brother. Nonsense, stop fooling the kid. TCH, watch your language. There are too many people. I'm feeling a bit dizzy. Julian picked me up, his gaze gentle. All right, we're going home now. That cheerful boy from back then now casually rested his hand on Julian's shoulder. Bring your little sister to the graduation party when the time comes. Julian shot him a glare. Why don't you just hold it at my place then? That'd be perfect. One dared to suggest, the other dared to agree. Words spread like wildfire, and just like that the matter was settled. A few days later, all their classmates came except for Samantha and Ryan. 14, and through their gossip, I learned the whole story. Turns out ever since their failed attempt to frame Jasmine last time, the two of them had a falling out. On the eve of the graduation exams, Ryan somehow got his hand broken by a group of thugs. And he believed Samantha was behind it, so he deliberately hid her ID card and exam admission ticket. The two ended up in a violent fight and were both hospitalized, consequently missing their graduation exams. They had schemed to drive Julian and Molly apart, never expecting the consequences would rebound onto themselves. Truly, those who harm others ultimately harm themselves. I turned to look at Julian. He was currently lecturing others on childcare tips. Beside him, a boy who just gained a younger sister was diligently taking notes. Meanwhile, Jasmine was laughing and chatting with several other girls. They were discussing which country to visit for their graduation trip. How wonderful. Both my brother and sister have found friends who share their interests. And they've gained family members who genuinely care for them. They'll never be lured or deceived by false affections again. Ellie, come take a group photo with us, okay? The classmates gathered on the lawn outside with Julian and Molly, holding me in the middle. Our driver helped take this group photo for us. In the picture, the three of us are smiling warmly and radiantly. End of story. Bonus scene. Samantha and Ryan tried to contact Julian and Molly, only to find themselves blocked. Frantic, they went to their doorstep. There they saw the siblings staying up all night, helping me with my preschool art project. They couldn't catch a glimpse of them all summer because I was about to start preschool. On the first day of school, everyone had to bring a handmade craft and introduce themselves. Julian and Molly wanted me to be the most dazzling kid in class. They worked tirelessly to prepare materials, sketching designs, only to scrap them time and again. The two of them almost got into another argument over this, to which I can only say comparison is the thief of joy. Extra story end.